right, we'll bring this meeting to order at 2 minutes after 3. And out of order, I think we could start this meeting with a moment of silence to just reflect on the day and what happened a while ago to our country. So if that's all right with everybody. All right.
I think our ladder truck did a marvelous display.
Yes. It's unfortunate that we're getting used to it. I'm looking here at privilege of the floor number 1, and I see some people visiting us. So if you would like to address us with concerns or any comments, please state your name and where you're from, so folks at home can pick up on who you are. So would anyone like privilege of the floor number 1? Okay, Joan.
Joan Sweeney. I'm here because somebody, Katie Smith had asked me to come concerning the after-school program initially, and the potential termination of the after-school program. I talked to Margaret and Mike about this, and I was just wondering where that, if anything, has gone forward. First, I'll just say, has anything happened with that, or what's the status of that?
I think if you get to the minutes of our last meeting, we discussed it, and due to the timing of the information we've received, we could agree to continue the program through the first semester through December break without any changes. And what we've asked Brooke to do is Brooke to research to come up to a point of bringing us information where our lowest acceptable loss would be and how many kids we need for a commitment to continue with the program at that level. We've also asked Brooke to talk to the school to see if they would be willing to do some of this, the Ray Center in the past. So Brooke has got a full plate as far as working on this. Also, we looked, she's doing a comparative analysis for us of all the neighboring towns and what their after-school programs charge, and to see about the feasibility of continuing it or having to discontinue.
Okay. That brought me to looking at the rec department in general. And I pulled out the current schedule, and I did happen to notice that my understanding is we have 3 full-time employees, is that correct? Or three benefited employees who should be full-time?
Brooke is nodding in agreement.
Oh, yeah, we have me, Eric, and Sandra.
Okay, so you're all basically 40 hours a week.
Yes.
Okay, and you're looking for a 20-plus hour person that was posted yesterday or so. So you're talking, let's just even be really conservative. I mean, and call the 3 of you 100 hours a week, and you add a 20. You've got 120 man hours a week for 6 days. Because they're typically you're closed one day. If you take, and I'm just looking at I'm sure there are other things and we can discuss that, but if I look at the programming, and I went online to see about hiking and things, I found nothing. If I look at the programming and you take after school out of it, you've got 20 hours of programming. I know there's other things involved, but there's a huge discrepancy there between what we're paying people, and you're looking for a new person and you're cutting a program that benefits. I know it's a small number.
John, there hasn't been a decision.
Well, we're not
to cut the
cutting
program
it.
yet.
We're not cutting it.
Well, okay, let's say you don't cut it.
Through January.
If you don't cut it, you've got 31 and a half hours.
Okay,
of
good. All right.
I guess I need to understand why we need another part-time person.
Brooke is here and can address that.
And okay.
If that's okay with you, Brooke.
Yep. I don't think that Joan has this.
No.
So Joan, it was brought to my attention that you had these concerns.
Mhm.
So I just took the week that you had last week, which is, I assume, the week that you looked at to get the information.
Well, I've got the fall schedule, which
Okay.
goes through December 20th.
So I just wanted, first of all, just for the rec department in general, as you probably know, there are ebbs and flows for the rec department. There's a lot of planning that's involved. There's a lot of seasonal events. So it's really hard to sort of just look at it as just one weekly schedule. So it just varies so much. So I just took the week that you were looking at last week, and that's what I put in this graph that's in front of you. So it shows the department being open 9 to 5 Monday through Saturday. The boats were open, or were supposed to be open on Monday. We were rained out, but that was 2 people I had to schedule there. The boats are open on Saturday and Sunday right now through Columbus Day. And then we have all sorts of things where, we're out of the office or we're covering evening campfires. We have facility rentals. Eric, one of our full-time staff, was on the AMC overnight adult hiking trip
35 hours.
for 35 hours. So essentially, we're just trying to cover those hours that you just described. That doesn't mean that we're necessarily at the rec department for those, so that we can be open for the programs happening at the rec department, but we're also offering facility rentals and other programs happening outside the rec department.
Okay, I mean, I guess, so like if you're talking boats, do the 3 of you work boats or are those additional?
No, those are part-time employees.
Okay, so that really, in terms of.
Actually, Joan, I'm correct. Eric works the boats on Saturdays. We fill in when we don't have part-time staff. So for example, on Saturdays right now, Eric will work the boats because we're short part-time staff. We actually don't have another part-time staff for Saturdays to have the 2 people. So he's had to cover that, which has taken him away from potential hiking trips. So there's
On that sheet that you're looking at, Joan, there's 154 hours of activities.
Mhm.
Either the rec is open, and that includes the after-school programming, the open gym times during that 9 to 5, that yellow piece on that. But those other things are requiring coverage by staff. So at 154 hours, you already have 34 hours of part-time help that's necessary to cover those hours.
Well, yeah, that's
And-
assuming that there's somebody at the rec from 9 to 5
There
every day,
is.
which I
That's-
have,
we're
no, there's
open.
not.
Yes, there is. There's someone.
So if I go by any day from 9 to 5, that door's unlocked and open?
Well, Joan, that is mostly
That's-
true, but occasionally I will come here if it's just me there and I have to go to a WVRA meeting, or if I have to come to town office to pick up mail. There's occasion where I'll have to lock the door behind me, but we generally, yes, we try to
Yeah.
have it so there's enough people there.
I guess I've stopped by at those odd times, that's,
So like if I was to leave the building, there would have to be another full-time person present for me to leave it unlocked and then to service you. So for them to answer the phone or for them to sell a fishing license or a parking pass, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Otherwise, if I'm leaving for a meeting or to go to town office or something like that, I have to lock the door behind me.
and I mean, I guess the other thing is if you look at the bonfires, you look at the AMC, you look at the boats, you got 6 more weeks of that.
Well, and
And-
as Brooke said, this is going to ebb and flow. There's going to be weeks where there won't be as much activity as the 154 hours here. But generally, we're open 6 days a week for 8 hours a day or more.
Yeah.
There will be weeks like in October during the Columbus Day holiday when we'll have 220
And
hours.
I
of
know
time.
that, but I think if you're
And-
looking, if you're considering,
Yeah.
if you're looking at canceling a program that benefits residents,
Right.
in-town people,
Mhm.
you have to look really carefully at how you're spending your time. And, you've got several programs that, are geared towards the guests, and that's okay, but it is a town program.
Mhm.
And that needs to be considered. We lose, this rec department bleeds money, always has, it's always going to. I'm not expecting anything different.
Right.
So and I know there's only 3 of them right now, that doesn't mean a change, but once you cancel it, it's probably gone, let's be honest here. So I just think it is worth considering.
Right.
And
Well, the problem, like you're talking about this extra quote unquote extra 20-hour week. This is really a replacement for a part-timer that we always have had at the rec. And we lost the person who was filling that position.
And if you've got programming to cover,
Right.
that's fine. I'm not opposed to
Right.
hiring somebody.
Yeah.
But
I mean, right now, we can't find the part-timers to fill these positions. Historically, we have had several part-timers filling in this time, but it's becoming more and more difficult, at least from the rec department standpoint, to find good help who is going to be here that we can count on to cover these programs. And that's one of the reasons why the full-timer came on board, was to grow the programming, and because we were having problems with the part-time staff.
yeah, and believe me,
You know, you guys
I know
you
that.
see it, right? So we're just trying to fill in like the boats after the summer vacation period. It's been very difficult to get those kids.
I get that, and it is
to
most
work.
years, and I that's not my issue. I get that.
Yeah.
And if if you're filling in that other person, fine. My
Yeah.
point is, it's a town rec.
Mhm.
Let's look at who we're serving
Sure.
and what we're doing,
And that's one of
and
the
to
things.
cut,
the
or
board's
to
gonna
talk
do.
about cutting the one program that is primarily, that's a little bit more labor intensive, that is primarily for residents,
Mhm.
is difficult. You've got a school that's hanging on by a thread and trying desperately to entice people.
Sure. And that's why the board made the decision that they made to go on till January
Joan,
and continue to look at it.
I would also like to state, just so you know, that nobody wants to cut the
We don't
after-school
wanna cut.
program. Nobody does, but we are getting into such low numbers, we started to ask the question, what is the lowest we could run it out? Because we really feel like, we have to have 2 staff to run it. And if we have 1 child or 2 children, are we gonna continue that? So really, it's just starting to ask the question, when we've gotten down to this really low number of 4, is what is the lowest? No one wants to cut the after-school program.
Do we have that number?
No, I mean.
No, and that's part of the
Can you-
discussion. Well, wait a minute, Rob. That's the program is going to go on.
It is
through the
happening.
end-
It already
It is happening, and it will continue to happen through the end of the year.
Okay.
And then, as part of the budget discussions,
Right.
we'll make recommendations to the board, and we'll have that discussion on
Right.
what is the lowest number. We don't know what it is yet.
We're also going to have to look at the programming, what kind of programming we have and what kind of, in fact, for me looking at this now, I'm seeing a lot of programming here that contribute to this 154 hours that goes away naturally.
Mhm.
And what is going to replace it, and how much of that is going to be
Right, there are other events.
town-based
that-
and permanent.
Right, and other programs will fill in those spots as the seasons change.
Right, but are you going to get up to that kind of level is my question, because I'm seeing a lot of these hours here as things that are weather-related, where you won't be outside doing stuff.
Well, actually, the hiking
Actually-
programs are outside
Actually,
through
it
the
is.
winter.
It was huge
Oh,
last
you-
winter.
Yeah,
The
snowshoeing will start
snowshoeing
happening,
was-
and
That's why I'm asking the
winter
questions.
hiking. So we do have plans. I mean, that was the whole point of
Yeah.
the growth of this third person, so that we
Okay,
could
no,
do
as
that.
long as we're doing that. So we need to know these things. We need, those of us who aren't participating in these programs,
Mhm.
need to know what's going on.
Well,
with these programs.
frankly, another piece of all of this that I think is overlooked is that there's a lot of planning that goes into planning these programs. We have a lot of event-based stuff. It takes a lot of effort and energy and planning and coordinating and finding sponsors and finding, all of that takes a lot of time. When we're just talking about non-program, like being there, right there with the kids for the program. Yes, that's one type of service we offer, but we're also offering the planning and, production of
No,
events.
I get it.
So I just want the people at home to just consider that.
Yeah. No,
Well,
Robert.
I assume that's built into the 8 hours a day.
Yes, that
Rob.
is covered.
Of course, but you're answering
Let's get to
phones
Rob.
and,
I apologize for being a little late to the discussion getting in here. I had to leave my job and cut my workday shorter to be here today. the after-school antics program as a representative of the elementary school parenting organization. I am the vice president of the PTO. My wife, Morgan, is the president, and our daughter, Lois, goes to the school. She's 7. She's in 2nd grade. The after-school antics program is a absolute lifeblood activity for us. Without a care program for Lois to go from 2:45 till about 5 o'clock at night, we wouldn't be able to maintain our work schedules.
No, that's all understood, Rob. The question that we have is it going to be the recreation department doing it or the school doing it or
Some
something?
private entity.
Yeah, we have to figure out, we want this to work. We want to make your life easy. We don't want to make your life difficult.
Thank
But
you.
we have to figure out who's going to do it, how it's going to work, and how it's going to work best for the town.
I'm curious if there is the opportunity to look historically at data as far as how many students, in like a 5 or 10 year average you have had to maintain the program as far as income. If there is a break.
Well, that's what we're looking at. We're figuring this out where one of the things is we might maintain it, the rate might go up to make it work. As Brooke says, nobody wants to shut it down. We just have to defend it because this is the town's money. It's not my money, your money, or anybody else's. There are a bunch of people that will ask questions about this, especially when we have a census the way it is.
Part of the concern I think needs to be addressed too is the fact that the information you guys moved on in August, I believe there was an email on August 22nd to the school board inquiring about the health of the after-school antics program and where this discussion started. There has been, and I don't
I'm
know
not
that
aware of this email you're talking about.
So I believe you sent an email to the school board, Mark, about the questions going forward.
Following the 14th meeting,
Yeah.
when we talked about.
Yeah, no, we ask this stuff every year.
Right. But there's a flyer that goes with the students when they exit the school at the end of the year that says there will be an after-school antics program.
That's why we're sticking with it till December with no questions asked.
There's no deadline listed on the flyer. There's no pricing associated on the flyer. And I understand that those things change, but if you wanted to know numbers ahead of time, if you needed to make decisions in August about stuff that's going to affect programming in September, maybe we would incentivize early enrollment. I could write a check in
Rob,
June when we pick
We've
up
done
last
that
day
in
of
the
school.
past, Rob. We had a lower census in the past. Brooke came up with the idea of pre-selling it for a discount to get a number that she knows about.
Yeah, and we didn't have anyone signed up when the email was written.
No, I know that.
So that was.
And we didn't, and
Lois
even
wasn't
now, we don't have firm commitments that we can count on. I mean, we have people showing up for the program, but it's still a very soft number. So the commitment from the parent side has been pretty soft. As far as my kid will be there, or I'm gonna, whether it's 1 day a week or whether it's 5 days a week. Even now, after all this discussion over the past couple of weeks, we still don't have real solid commitments from people. I mean, I know you guys have.
No, I don't.
But I'm just saying.
Mike Fergal shows those numbers that have fluctuated over the years, and this can only be a microcosm of the enrollment of the greater school. If we have 20 kids and we can depend on a 10 to 20% enrollment in after-school antics, then when we have 40 kids, we'll have a higher enrollment in after-school antics. So understanding that this is just a lull in the system, one of those natural lower depressions that we're going to deal with as enrollment improves steadily over the years.
But how do you well, anyway, we'll have this, this will be a continuing discussion as we go forward. And we understand that this benefits people that are here in the valley, and we'll make it work if we possibly can.
I have one other request as far as this discussion is concerned. The parents who need to use the after-school antics program are not going to be able to make meetings at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on weekdays. So if you want the representative, people
Well,
to
our
be
budget,
in the
the
audience.
budget presentations
hearings
are
are
at
needed.
6 o'clock in the evening in February. So that'll all be advertised as we.
Rob, if there's gonna be a big change, there'll be a lot of notice before it's gonna happen. It's not gonna be like 2 weeks notice, hey, we're not doing it in
I
January.
have to do everything I possibly can, Mike, to prevent a big change.
I understand, Rob, and we appreciate you being here. But we're gonna do what's best for everybody.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
This is also recorded, and you can access it at any time, or any of the parents can access it.
And all of the meetings are
But to be
recorded.
active and be here and be engaged,
Mhm.
the timing is a little bit
Yeah,
difficult.
well, that's just what, Joan,
So am I to understand that people only pay the days they come?
No,
Okay, so they commit
yeah,
and they're gonna pay,
and
the
and that
next
was
6 months
started 4 years ago.
Okay.
It used to be like what you just described, and now it's a commitment of either full-time or part-time to be aligned with the rest of the SAU.
okay,
But we also offer drop-ins, so we have 4 kids committed on a full-time or part-time basis right now. And then we have a couple
Occasional,
others that are saying, oh, we'll take advantage of it on a day or here, and we don't
Okay.
require notice, because if, as long as we're running it, we know we're running it, we don't mind if other kids drop it.
okay. No, I was quickly
Yeah.
under the impression that
Yeah.
Yeah.
you paid as you went, and I was gonna suggest.
Yeah, no.
Well, there is not, that option does exist, but that's after a certain level, it's a higher rate to pay.
Yeah, it's a higher rate to
Right.
just drop in, and people like that flexibility.
Right.
That works great for them, but some people just want to count, and they need it, like Rob, for example, needs to count on that 5 days a week.
Mhm.
The only other thing that sort of complicates is there's as a homework club that happens for some of the kids. So we try to design a fun program to doing all sorts of things, but some kids might not spill over there until 3:30.
And I think also a discussion is warranted with the school to see if the school is willing. You know, where my kids went to school, the school was the after-school program, as an add-on.
And I did collect all that information, Mike, that you asked me to on all
Yeah,
the different
that's
schools and
right.
the costs and like what they offer, and so you can, that's just a starting point
Yeah,
of
it's
making a
yeah.
decision.
The programs for all the other surrounding elementaries are maxed out, so there wouldn't be.
Oh, no, we know that.
Yeah.
This is just data to build up what we want to do, not to say, oh, you can go here at this price. We know you can't.
There's another one there.
All right, so we're working on it, and we're working on it in what we consider a positive manner, and it's not going to be any surprise to anybody what'll happen. I'm sure it'll work out as it needs to.
I encourage the dialogue with the parent-teacher organization and the school board. We want to be as involved in this discussion as possible.
Well, you will be.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Anyone else with privilege of the floor? All right, then we'll move on to approving the minutes of the 14th of August.
Yeah, I got a number of just minor titles that
Okay.
I can talk to.
All right, Margaret, do you have anything substantial?
I have one.
Oh,
She-
and I didn't have a chance to read it.
Well, I'll get together.
All right. So why don't we table it? We'll table it.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
I'll table it for,
Yeah, we'll table
table
it.
it because Mike
Oh, you
hasn't
haven't
had
read
a
it yet,
chance.
sorry.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. So we'll just table it.
Okay.
That's-
Financial review, anything on the financials for anybody?
no,
Margaret?
No.
No, everything went fairly in line. Mark, anything you wanted to bring up?
No, I think we have put in the new revenues and I think things are,
Right, it's all due to the adjustments.
there will be an influx of about $10,000. The tracking for investment income had dropped out of our funding report, and I wasn't giving it to you, but I'll correct that for the next meeting. So
So you're saying the report for
there's
10,000 as far as
revenue, yeah. It
So-
doesn't make, it's not a, percentage-wise, it's gonna be an additional 1 or 2%.
Right, but that didn't come up when we had to adjust our revenue income forms.
No, we had figured that in to the adjustments. The adjustments that we gave you were correct. It was just not on this form. That I use a different form for the state report.
Okay,
So it's on there, but it's not on this report that we're giving you.
all right. Okay, then we'll move on. Calendar review, September 25th. You were on this?
Good, yeah.
All right, great, planning board. Well, and that meeting, there is a joint meeting of both boards on the 17th
On the 17th.
at 8 o'clock in the
At 8
morning.
Mhm.
All right, we'll move on to department heads. Brooke?
Yeah, so as we've discussed, after school did start this Monday. And it's off to a great start. They are currently doing a scavenger hunt at Livermore, which is fun for them. We also had a successful AMC hut trip for, Eric ran for 4 adults and they had an awesome time. Pictures and sort of captions will be on Facebook soon if you care to look at it. We're planning the fall foliage race. We have secured 3 major sponsors, the Waterville Valley Foundation, Spear, and Roper. So we are moving along with those sponsors and the plans for the race, looking for volunteers. We are going to be doing the donation aspect of it to the camp fund, the Doug DeCenzo Camp Fund. So they were really excited to be the recipients of that this year.
And approximately how much did you donate last year?
It's right around $800 most years.
Okay.
We usually have about 200 runners. Right now, Eric's finalizing our hiking trips for the fall, and there's a private 2-day hiking group coming. That they reached out to us for a custom trip on October 25th to 26th.
And how many people is that?
5. So it's a
To
group.
start.
Yeah.
Work.
So it's
Are they staying in town?
they are. I don't know where. I'll find out from Eric.
Yeah.
So that's exciting.
Yeah, that would be important to report to everyone.
Yeah. And then we also, I think you probably are aware, but we did give our first patch out, our first red liner patch. The first person received that.
It was on you, Margaret.
No, well, you've done a lot of things not this year.
Yes, it was somebody that had done a lot of the hikes before, logged them, and had to just come here and do a few more, which we
Oh,
are.
I don't know if that-
We
I
are.
think he deserves an asterisk.
We are honoring. No. We're honoring
Honoring
this.
back to 2015, so
Yeah.
don't take that away.
Yeah, no, we are
Margaret needs it
honoring
too.
historical hikes, and I think just it was cool because I think he came here specifically to finish out that patch. He's big into these patches, and he wrote us a nice couple pieces. I asked him if he would write a couple more, actually.
Yeah, he's a great writer.
Yeah, he was great. And then I also forgot to mention that on Tuesday of last week, I did go out with the program, the PBS show, Windows into the Wild. Have you watched it with Willem Lang? He travels all over doing these shows. And
About 92 years old.
yeah, we took him up to Cascade Path with his camera crew and
Oh,
his
that's right. I saw your
producers.
pictures of that.
Yeah, so they interviewed Dan and I, and the Conklins were there. It was great. And then after they spent that time with us on Cascade Path, they went over to the cellar holes so that the Conklins could give them the historical piece and more shooting of the videos, and it was pretty cool. So I'll let everybody know when that comes is on air.
Nobody got stung by hornets.
No, why
Oh,
are they
good.
really bad up there on Cascade Path right now?
No, but Mad River had
Oh,
some problems.
yeah.
apparently.
No, it was fine. And the guy needed a little help, so I was able to take him in the Kubota up part of the trail because he is getting a little bit older. So. But anyway, that was really great, and I'll let you know when that comes out.
Okay, great.
The
Camp numbers?
Camp numbers.
Camp numbers, yep.
So,
So that we're down 100 camper days from last year, but last year was our record-setting year. So we ended up with 1,951 camper days for the summer. And that tracks right along with with 2015, 16, 17. So we were right in the, right in
Actually,
the
it was
good
our
number.
Third
Third
highest
highest in the
year. So it
last
was still
12
very
years.
high.
and was it same based on a same per week average, same number of weeks, or more?
Same
weeks?
number of weeks, yep.
Same.
Next summer looks like it might be another 10
10, yeah.
summer, which we haven't had since I started here. So
Okay.
anyway, if snow days and all that, we kind of can't plan on that until a little bit later.
And what about boats? Any numbers on those yet?
Financials,
Yeah. How much do you think we're off on boats this year?
I can't remember. I think it's 10, right?
Yeah, well, we adjusted
Yeah,
we
we
adjusted the
adjusted
revenue by
revenue.
I know we brought
10,000.
it down, but did we meet that number, or are we?
Well, we're still working on
We're
it.
still working. but
Yeah.
we could go
I
there.
think we will.
Yes. That's why we picked that number.
Yeah, no, I just want to make sure
That's
that
where
we're
we-
still because of some other times.
Yeah.
Well, it'll still matter though with like weather, for example, like we actually didn't have rainy weather this weekend, but I heard it was very slow. It was reported to me that it was pretty slow on Sunday. It was a
Yeah,
little
this
cool.
sounded like dead Sunday. It was like something that,
Okay,
like announced the plague or something.
yeah, okay, so that's what was reported to me. And then, it just depends on the weather that we get really on the weekends, because we're only
Yeah.
open on Saturday and Sunday, and within that 3-day holiday weekend, so hopefully we get good weather.
Any other questions for Brooke? Okay. All right, thank you, Brooke.
Thanks for.
Hey, Chris, welcome back. Congratulations on Kyle.
Well, thank you.
Keep the whole town uptight with that Facebook post.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, yeah.
that wasn't my intention. As you notice, the Warrior Conference is back. It's the ladies, Warriors are here. I think they're called like the Sunshine? Sunshine Conference is
And
here.
how many people are we expecting?
About 500.
Wow.
So it's gonna be busy. It's half of what the Warriors are, but I'm sure it's just gonna build like the Warriors did. They're here tomorrow night and Friday night and maybe Saturday morning. Same type of setup, where they're gonna have the sermons in the ice arena, activities during the day, and then food. I think they're catering the food. So it'll be pretty quick. Hopefully it'll go as well as the Warriors do. Planning our Public Safety Academy starting September 24th on Tuesday nights, going through October 15th. I think it's 4 sessions. We're working on getting the curriculum for that right now. Seeing how to get input. On September 29th, the Mountain is hosting a trail running race on the mountain.
And do you know how many people are expecting for that?
I've heard anywhere from 160 to 800 people.
So we've got it nailed down.
So I go online to the registrations and right now last week there was 160 people there.
Okay. Is that a media event? Is there media?
No, it's advertised as the National Trail Running Championship.
Do we need extra EMTs around for that, or?
No, we're still gonna be fewer than a slow ski day, so we should have current personnel, or a scheduled personnel. We were lucky enough to do some fall cleaning. We cleaned out the evidence room.
Has the evidence room stopped flooding?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
No, we had a fire, but it used to flood.
The improvements that we made
Yeah.
last fall have worked.
Yeah, it's been dry down here, which is great. So we get that done. And our National Coffee with a Cop Day is October 4th. So we're gonna go over to the Jugtown Country Store for that. It's now the Jugtown
Welcome
Country
back,
Store.
Jugtown.
Welcome back, Jugtown. And we're gonna have an open house there for that's pretty much what's going on.
Everybody's healthy. And the new guys are working out well.
Very well, yes.
No, good. Okay, great. Do we have a lot for Jim, do we?
We don't have one.
Jim, what's going
Yeah.
on?
Well, we did some cleaning ourselves, so we finally have the transfer facility, the top part.
Where are our cameras?
We're waiting for
the
a
Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi extender.
Still.
It's on order. That's
Where's Radio Shack? when you need it?
Yeah, I know.
Long gone.
long gone.
So we've got, we made extra room for Brooks' boats and our benches and everything,
Where?
so we can get most of the
We've got
stuff,
containers.
95% of everything undercover for the winter, so that's good. And we were able to get rid of our portion of tires plus, some others that were in town. We got rid of all the propane tanks, refrigerators, air conditioning units, and a load
Now,
of TVs.
Do you pay a special fee to get rid of those propane tanks, or?
Yes.
And-
And I don't know what it is yet because I haven't been billed for it yet.
Goes along with our other levels.
Yeah.
Right, but it's.
And tires we're charged
We
for.
know we charge for
Yeah.
tires.
So, and we charge a fee for,
Yeah.
the propane. The only thing up there that we quote unquote make money on, it would be the metal can, all
Is it an offset at all? Does it work, does it balance out or?
The most expensive part of that is the pull. And I think it's somewhere around $300 for a pull on that one. It's $476 every time we pull the C and D can plus tonnage. So it's $63 a ton to get rid of it, plus $476 to pull it. So, but that, we're very happy because we got room up there. So, guys did a good job. Library is almost complete. There's just a couple of little punch list items, very small.
We do have a list on the library.
Yes,
You do, you have an
do.
email, well, the email from Sandy, and the estimate
Can
from
we
Jim.
get your opinion on that?
I think it's.
I saw $1,000 for a blind for a door.
No,
that's-
That's for all the
There's
windows.
8 of them,
There's 8 of them.
$989.
Okay, the way I read it
Install.
was there was some special blind they wanted for the door that wouldn't.
Yes.
So it was like,
Well,
They're an
Well,
insulated
is it
blind.
insulated type?
they're
honeycomb?
insulated
Yeah.
honeycomb
okay.
blinds, and it's for all the windows, including the door.
All right,
And
I
I
just
think
wanted to make
that's-
sure we wouldn't spend
yeah, yeah,
$1,000
no,
for a door blind.
No, so even with the approval that you gave last
Right.
meeting for the 3,500, we still have money
Yes.
in the account. So we can cover these requested items, including the trees.
Including the
And
trees that
you
are
lined up him to come up and do the trees?
we are on the schedule. It just depends on what the schedule
Could
is.
you let me know when the schedule is? Because while he's up in the region, I tried to maybe piggyback on that if possible.
Okay, have you called it?
I
Good
I
luck.
assume some agreement has been reached between the library trustees about what trees
Yes.
need to come out. and which
The
ones
library
need to stay.
trustees and I went out and flagged them. So everything has been done with at least one representative of the library trustee, every decision that has been made. So hopefully all 3 are in agreement, but other than that, things are starting to wind down.
All right, you got your salt ordered, sand
I
ordered?
have not ordered a thing yet,
Okay,
but we are working on all the snow removal equipment.
Yeah.
We rebuilt one plow already, so,
yeah, the other one should be new, right?
yes. Well, the amount of steel we put in the one we rebuilt, that ought to be new too, so.
You just jinxed yourself. Always happens.
I can't jinx myself any worse than what
That's
happened
what
last winter.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. And the new garbage truck is working out to be more efficient as well. We have
I'm happy
initial
to announce
efficiency.
we had our largest load delivered to Bethlehem today at 15.5 tons
And over what time period was that collected?
this week.
So it was just, so we're not running every day,
No.
okay?
No, we had one day we didn't run this week. So, yeah, one day we didn't run. We ran a couple of full days so far. And expect to run a half a day tomorrow and a half a day Friday. Just to make sure.
Have things gotten sorted out yet with the folks out in high country and their dumpster?
It's an ongoing saga. We thought we had it.
Yesterday,
We thought yesterday we were gonna have the solution, but they changed their minds.
so they haven't gotten back to us
Right.
with what they want to do now, but apparently there's a new plan that we don't know about yet.
In the absence of a change in the enclosure, is there anything they can do at the ground level to make that easier to?
Yeah, we've given them a couple of different
Guidance.
options.
Yep. So the issue is the length of the new truck. Because it has to go up an incline onto a flat, so that's where the issue is. The length is different, so when the truck backs up, okay, the back end is higher than on the old truck. So you can't get the dumpster onto the truck in a very easy or safe manner, so,
This is the one you replaced with the smaller,
yes,
and that was not acceptable.
that was not acceptable.
Yeah, they couldn't open.
Couldn't open the lid.
Anything else from Jim? Good. All right, well, I'm gonna skip around again if I can. Usually I see Chris, Jim, and Craig here,
Yes.
and Craig sitting by very quietly and patiently. And so let's talk about the trial of the on-street parking area. So, lead us into it.
I provided you with a map,
Yep.
attached to your packets. We're proposing, we have looked at about a 200-foot stretch of Valley Road across from the golf clubhouse, which we would propose to create 10 parallel parking spaces in that approximately 200-foot area. The parking where the vehicles would park is completely off of pavement, off of the traveled way. This would be for the winter time period. It would be plowed by Public Works, and basically what we would do is Jim would make probably one additional pass, which would move the snowbank in or further away from the pavement and create the spaces, what about 10 feet, 8 or 9 feet?
Yeah.
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 And we would have to put up some signage. We don't know exactly what that signage would say right now, but we're looking at 3 to 4 signs. They would stress that this would not be an overnight parking area and that it would be for parallel parking only. When we walk the area with Craig, Jim is comfortable that we're not going to be putting snow onto the sidewalk that we clear with the sidewalk tractor. We looked at site distances, and Chris, you're okay with those as far as from a safety standpoint. We can keep the front and back snowbanks lower so that people can see all along the 200-foot area. So we're proposing to give this a trial run this winter, probably from the, once it snows and freezes, the ground freezes, so sometime in December through March. And that would cover the times when we have had improper parking on Lost Pass Road, and that's what we're trying to prevent.
There's no additional paving with this.
There's no additional paving. This is going to be, the trial period is going to be on frozen ground, just cleared, basically pushing the snowbank.
Because
further
that ground slopes down a little bit towards the.
Well, it
sidewalk.
Yeah,
does to a certain, but if you paved it, you'd have to slope it down too.
Yeah, and the area that we're talking about, it's only 8 or 9 feet off the pavement edge, so it's pretty flat in there before it drops off. So we're comfortable that people will be able to get in and out of there safely. Any questions?
Yeah, will the signage include any signs on Lost Pass Road to tell people not to park there?
We can put some temporary signs
We can
on
put
there.
some temporary no parking.
Now, I'm not advocating, I just wanted
I
to,
mean-
we talked about signs, you were talking just about the signs.
Yeah,
There,
just,
right where the
just
parking
signs where the parking
As I
is
recall,
what we
too.
were planning. The
That folks
The
up
Lost
Moose Run
Pass-
was the main complaint.
The Lost Pass parking has been 1 or 2 really busy times, right?
Right.
It's not a,
And as soon as it happens once, we put our temporary signs up and
Is
it's.
that's good enough?
Yeah.
You don't need to do anything more than that?
I think it's good.
Okay.
I think it's safe.
All right. I have a slight concern,
Yeah, go ahead.
which I'm sure Craig will take care of, because I'll mention the slight concern, is people don't pay attention to signs, especially here when they think, oh, it's only me, I'm only going in for an hour, only going in for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So I'd like you to be conscious and have your staff pay attention to people who are parking beyond the signs.
Yeah, you mean behind about the timing limits, like 2 hours?
No, beyond the space of the sign, because unless you've got
Hopefully
a
it'll be
really,
Well,
Let's-
there'll
the
be
snowbank will
snowbanks.
do that.
that's not gonna stop a lot of these people in big
Oh,
SUVs.
yeah, that's true.
That's just the
But I
plan.
was-
Basically a line of cards.
How I was thinking of doing it, just because, we're all gonna walk through this anyway, is put a couple of employee cars out there to kind of get it
All right, just as
set.
long as you can
You know what I
stop
mean?
the people from thinking, well, those are okay, so I'll be okay here.
Yeah, we did, the 10 spots is probably in excess of what was doing on Lost Pass Road. So I feel that the 10 is a good number,
Yeah.
and, who knows, maybe this year will be more popular, but at least that's a start. We were gonna maintain it, obviously, police it, whatever you wanna call it. And we're gonna cut a path in from right by the building straight down. I don't know how, obviously we have enough property that we can provide parking on our own, but we'd have to give up some stuff. The other side of the road, it drops off drastically,
No, it gotta make sense.
and the
This is what-
utilities are on the other side.
It's what the guys have said
Yeah.
makes sense, so it's worth
Yeah.
giving it a try.
Right. I mean, I will say that if it does work and everybody's happy with it, let's say, right? We do need kind of this it's all on Saturdays. And it's Saturdays in January and February, and it's also Saturdays in July and August. So I'd like to eventually, somewhere along the line, propose to permanently do this.
We'll see what happens.
Right.
Okay.
I'm just saying that's where it's headed.
Any other questions?
So,
Couple, I got a couple of them.
yeah, go ahead.
I was wondering if you're gonna drop a pass from the clubhouse
Yeah.
right across the
Yes.
parking area. Will we be putting in a crosswalk there?
No, because
No.
don't forget it's winter time and you're not gonna see it.
You won't see it, yeah. I mean, if
If
we
we-
were to do something more permanent, we'd
Permanently.
have to figure out how to
Okay.
do that.
If it was permanent, then we would landscape that parking area up anyway. And then we would have crosswalk.
And the other question I have is obviously what happens when people are parked there late? Is that a ticketing situation or?
Yeah. We'll know if it's, unless it's not our customer. let's
Well,
say.
see, that's,
I doubt it though. It's like people, that's why we're talking about doing right where we're talking about. People do
Who else
not
will
walk
park there?
anywhere. So nobody's gonna park there and walk to town
That's the
square.
problem, they won't park in the parking lots.
which is already existing.
Get them to
Right.
walk.
So I-
A short distance. No, I
Yeah.
agree with
We're,
that.
you gotta do it across the street or they won't
Yeah. I
use it.
guess the main coordinating the ballet between parked cars and snow removal when the time comes.
I don't foresee a big issue with it. I mean, it's maybe one extra pass for us. And that's a problem corner for drainage anyways. And so this may, in fact, I'm confident that it will help the situation and not hinder it.
I think this is a very good idea to try out and see what
And
happens.
do we need a motion on that?
Yes, if you could, please, because you do have the no parking.
Let's make a motion to lift the no parking ban from that area.
I move that we allow temporary on-street parking test area and as described on the map we've been presented for this winter.
Second,
I second the
all
motion.
in favor?
Aye.
Aye, great. All right, let's move on to some more exciting stuff. We can look at the MS1 and the MS 535.
Big. So I provided copies of both forms. These are annual forms. The 535 is a restatement of our audit, in a form that the New Hampshire Department of Revenue Administration has devised. Where
They
in
have to
20
have
years,
their-
25 years, I still don't know why we do it, but we have to do it every year. We've gone through all the information, Judy and I reviewed it. It's all correct. From our standpoint. The MS1 is our total valuation for the town. Again, we do it annually. This year, just so everybody has the numbers. Total town valuation on this form is $331,084,545. That's a $748,000 increase over last year.
because of new construction.
New construction, building permits, that sort of thing, yeah. There was one change, of use among a condo that caused some additional value.
A change of use among.
Well, there was a condo that, basically there were two condos that had been divided up one way, having moved the
Now
wall.
I get it. Okay, great. Let's move on to old business, issuing the
New
lease.
business. You still have one item left on new business.
Oh, the Tyler Springs dumpster enclosure.
That's your thing.
I went over and looked at the Tyler Springs dumpster with a member of the board from Tyler. I had previously looked at it with Mark. And I didn't see a problem with how it sits. He was gracious enough to try to shake it off its foundation for me, and he couldn't. He says this post is broken. If we wanted to be gracious, we could replace the post that's broken. He didn't like the way it was braced. I'm not a builder, I'm not a contractor, so I can't say.
And
anything
his
to it.
profession is,
He's their property manager.
his previous profession.
I think he was a state police officer in New York. So I don't know.
Just want to know what his background.
I don't know what to say. I thought dumpster enclosure was okay. I'm not an expert.
I'm not an expert either, but when I heard this was going on, I went over to see what all the fuss was about, and I couldn't figure it out.
Same here.
It looks,
Yeah.
it looks fine. It's not like it's an eyesore or anything like that. It looks just like most of the dumpsters in town look. I did not give it the push test, but
Just so the board is aware, that did cause both posts to bend over a little bit, all right? And so we took the backhoe over there with a come-along, and we hooked it on there, and we tried with a come-along, and we could not straighten the post. So we actually had to take the garbage truck over there and take the cable that hooks onto the dumpsters and in a chain and straighten both posts. So they're not broken, number one. And number two, they're solidly still in the ground.
So I think we're on the same page with the response that we're sorry we hit your dumpster enclosure. We've done the best to make it right. There will never be a new dumpster enclosure, and we are sorry.
Okay.
Is that agreeable with everybody else? Okay, now we'll move to old business. The ice arena lease update.
The ice arena, they're continuing to work on financing as you discussed at the last meeting, and they are going to be coming in to the October 23rd meeting. So they've committed to that date. In the meantime, they do have repairs that they have made and that they need to make at the arena.
Now, do we have invoices for the repairs they've made?
Well, that's this packet I'll talk about in just a second. But this is an email I just received from Fred, sorry it wasn't in your packet, but he sent it to me today. So first, let's talk about what they have done.
Oh, we have 66,000.
We have
More than I thought.
66,000 left.
No, not anymore.
Not bad.
Well,
Starting.
yeah, starting. So the repairs that they have made, remember they had to
Right.
have the
The
ammonia
test.
system replaced or
They say about
Looked at.
$15,000.
15,416. So, and I have all the backup from when that work was done.
Yeah.
Most of that work was done between April and July. And that's what allowed them to open this summer. So I would recommend that we pay them back for these invoices that they've already paid.
That's not an
Okay.
issue. We were required to.
Yeah, we're required to. But it's legit.
Yeah.
So the remaining money, that will take us down to 51,000. So they have a quote for $34,000 for the brine pump. They are awaiting a quote for a safety ammonia detection system. It's just left already, but he and I had discussed it previously, and it is something that we feel should be in there. And quite frankly, I don't know why it wasn't put in before. And then pressure tests is this 15,000. So we're looking at an additional $42,000 to $44,000, and we have 51,000 after paying the 15. So we have sufficient money. I would say if I could get permission from you to go with the $34,000 quote that's attached. That is the company that now does the refrigeration system at the arena. I think it's legit. I definitely know the repairs have to be made.
I'm not understanding the second pressure test for $15,000.
No, that's this,
That's the one
That's
that's
this
already
one.
It's
happened.
subtracted from
It-
that,
right,
from that.
I'm on top of it.
there you go. You identified it
But if you were to add it, it would be 57 and 59 out of the 66.
out of the 66.
Oh, gotcha, I thought.
Yeah.
I thought.
So we'll have a few thousand left
All right,
over
yeah.
For the next emergency.
No,
for the
we-
next emergency.
To those who are following from a distance, we've been working on this for months. This is not new.
No, this
It's
is
been
since
thrown
April.
in. This has been in the process for about six months anyways, 7 months.
Yeah.
All right, I will make a motion to authorize the brine pump and pay the invoiced amounts.
Yeah.
Is there a second to that?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And are you, so do you want me to email you on, because I would assume that he's gonna get this ammonia detection quote
Right.
in the next week or so, and you don't have a meeting for,
So the 20.
till the 23rd. Or right,
25th.
25th.
If
As
Yeah.
long as it's within.
It's
the-
within
If
the-
it's within the 8 to
authorized.
10,000,
Right.
okay. And I will email you as soon as I know that number.
Okay, Village Trail Improvement Project, the engineering authorization.
So the town core working group met last week. They concurred with your decision to not award the bid for the repair work for the 110,000. They feel the same way that you do, that we should, that we presented the project as being the trail and around the pond, and that spending so much of the 150 on just the village trail was not fair to town meeting, from what they had been told. So they were on board with that. However, when we were talking about it, they feel that we should spend some of the remaining money, and we have $133,000 left on that line item. They feel that we should commit some amount of money for engineering to get the trail around the pond engineered to the same level that we now have the village trail plan, right? And get that same sort of bid package, and then take both of those and actually put them out to bid in November or December, so that we have a good number to take to town meeting if you want to, for all of the trail work.
And this will be contingent on understanding what,
And it would be contingent with
Tyrell.
coordinating what Tyrell
Yes.
LLC wants.
because that's,
Approximately how much is that?
Well, I think if we've spent 17,000 on, and a lot of the base work has been done around the pond, so
Right.
another 10, I think I
I
put in
don't
my,
think it should even be 10.
Well-
The 17 we put has given us the parameters.
well, I did a recommendation for up to 15. I do believe that when you do the entire project, you're gonna be around 300,000, because there's no real existing trail around the pond the way there is with the village trail. I mean, that's an established, that we were just resurfacing. So if you take 10% of the $300,000 project, is that for engineering. That's where I came up with the 10 to 15,000 in my recommendation.
See, I would be more comfortable authorizing this additional engineering if there was a conversation with Tyrell to get their time frame and their actual contribution towards this,
Okay,
before we spend another 17 and wind up 30,000 into a plan
Mhm.
where we're not gonna have, we're gonna be solely responsible for the plan and not have a way to
right,
fund it.
and so we're trying to set up that meeting for the last week of September. And
All right, so why don't we table this till then? If that's
Okay.
okay with you guys?
Yeah, I agree with you, I think.
Okay,
I'm gonna-
that's
Yeah,
fine,
so
yeah,
Tyrell
no,
is-
there's no
Yeah.
problem with that.
Because we spent 17, which.
No, I
we know
understand.
And I just don't wanna keep on spending another
Mhm.
17 and 30 and then find out, well, we spent 30 and we're not.
What
gonna
did
do
we
it.
get for the 17?
Not a lot.
Well, we got all of the plans to put the project out to bid that we put out to
Right.
bid. We got all the sign designs and locations, we got the lights, the lighting identified that we wanted.
This includes around the pond.
This
Yeah,
includes
so-
around the
right,
pond.
right.
This took,
So we did more work
how
than
much,
just Village
how
Trail.
much of that 17 went to the SE group? Because what did was the SE group fine-tuned a lot of their previous work was part of that 17.
Well,
Yeah.
they are the engineering firm that
Right,
we
but
have been using.
that's what I'm trying
That's where
to
it's
say.
spent.
That we took the original SE plan
Mhm.
and we asked them to fine-tune and actually cost out what a bunch of these things would come up to.
So what didn't get done with that 17 then? If
We-
all that stuff is done, if the
This,
signs and
this
that,
was the village. This is,
The overall project around the pond and Village Trail, all the conceptual work was done. And then they produced the construction documents for the Village Trail piece. We did not
Village
have
Trail piece from the beach
from
down
the
to
beach,
the,
from the dam down
Snowsbrook.
to Snowsbrook Road.
okay,
Yes. That's what we actually put out to bid.
okay. So
Okay,
we
but
don't
that-
have a bid document
We
for
do
the rest
not.
of
right,
it?
That's correct.
we have a bid document for that.
For that, yeah. So we want
And a
to do
little
the
bit.
circle.
And the
Yeah.
rough idea.
And we have the rough idea, the conceptual plan
The
around
the SE stuff, a lot of it came in with this section here as
Yes.
well,
And-
and this section here.
And remember, we
And
had
as
the
well as
joint meeting with the planning director from the resort.
Right,
And they also designed and got ready all the bid documents on the signs as well.
Right.
And that includes around the pond. So
And
we're
the
ready.
lighting and. I
the
forget what
lighting.
they call the things I like. A little concrete thing.
Bollards.
The-
Bollards, yes.
Yes,
okay.
So it was fine tuning and really actually taking the rough and bringing it forward. And so we're gonna table that until we've
Yeah.
got more information. Great. Board concerns and directives. Anything new guys? You,
I'm fine.
you sure? Okay. We do have some correspondence.
we do. We have a letter
We have a
from the
letter from
governor
our governor.
regarding school funding. And
Yeah.
as far as I know, unless it happened today, the state budget is still pending.
Yeah.
Anybody know anything different? So
The effect to Waterville Valley is roughly $3,900.
$3,900
Where?
In next year,
No,
Next-
for
for the
two.
next 2 years.
For the next 2 years.
Yeah.
But all of this could be thrown out depending on the court cases and how the filings, because we are still looking at donor towns versus recipient towns in New Hampshire. That hasn't been resolved in the courts. So that could throw all this stuff and our whole tax base completely out of whack.
Mhm.
So, just,
But this is very, I mean,
Yeah.
what he's proposing is comparable to what we've been paying
exactly,
Given the state.
we're $4,000 difference,
over 2 years.
yes,
Mhm.
which is minimal, where if these other funding sources come down, we could be the way we were 15 years ago. With some of these things, where all bets are off.
Mhm.
So, we'll see. It's interesting, because it's really up to the courts again. And the people aren't gonna decide this, the judge is gonna decide this. All right, the other correspondence is a request for a town meeting warrant article from Tom Gross. What he's requesting is we put a town warrant article out to define and call ourselves the most beautiful place, beautiful.
New
village.
Hampshire's most beautiful
village. I would tend to stay away from this myself. Because I think it would put us in a competition. And if the people want it, fine. If you can petition this, it's fine. But I'm not exactly forward on this one. I don't know how you guys feel.
I think it should be petitioned and voted on by the town.
I agree, pass the buck on this one.
Because I'd hate for us to be like the second most beautiful
Village,
as voted by the viewers of WWR.
the village. But we're not, that raised a question in my mind as to what we actually are, the 500 or so acres.
What do you mean?
Is it the town of, isn't the town of Waterville Valley the 10 by 6, or is it's 10
It's
by
10 by
6?
6.
Right,
Mhm.
so village, I wonder why we call ourselves a village. Is-
There are many towns in the state of New Hampshire that have a village,
Have separate little entities.
but there's still a single
Town,
municipality.
Right. And one could argue that now that we have our sign up says basically welcome to Waterville Valley down by the bridge, that those state signs should say Waterville Valley Village, 6 miles, 3 miles.
We've gone through that confusion for years, trying to call ourselves and get people to take a left coming out of the mountain.
Right. Go this way. Well, it's easy, you can't, no, it's a state road, we can't prohibit a right turn.
And if you bring up with the idea,
No. I think Chris would have a problem. How would you get out?
and if you bring up the idea of the rotary, because we found that one too.
Yes, actually, we have.
Our speed humps, is that?
Oh, no, we had.
No,
You missed
we
the
missed
speed hump.
the speed hump.
And the flamingos that live on the street.
That's right.
All right, we are to privilege to the floor number 2. Would anyone care to bring up a concern or just, or with anything else before we go into non-public session? All right, well, thank you all for participating.
So this will be a vote, you haven't turned that off yet, have you? This will be a vote to go into non-public session for the purpose of
4:12.
discussing 2 legal matters and a personal matter.
Nothing for me, right?
So moved.
Nothing for you.
You want me to
So
start?
moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You're going to have a second.
I second it. Silent.